All right, so I'm gonna talk you through a really cool Photoshop technique called multiplicity. So the first thing that you're gonna need to do is figure out what you wanna shoot, whether it's 16 of yourself around a giant dinner table, or maybe 4 of a stuffed animal in a bedroom to try and trick your children into thinking you got them more toys than you actually did. Whatever you wanna shoot, totally up to you. Just find your scene, set your camera up on a tripod because you're not gonna want your camera to move at all throughout the duration of your shooting because it will mess things up later in post. So get your camera set up on a tripod, frame your shot, make sure your exposure is good. All your settings, everything is gonna wanna be exactly the same throughout the whole time that you're shooting, however many images that you're gonna shoot. For this example, we are gonna shoot 3 around a ping pong table because I'm very competitive, mostly with myself. So I'm gonna just walk around the table, take a few images. You're either gonna want to have your camera set on a timer. 10 seconds is usually long enough to get yourself into frame where you want and get set before the shot goes off. Or if you have like a remote, you can use a remote too, totally fine, as long as you don't need your hand to be somewhere. You can also have someone with you taking the images for you, but if you're by yourself, the best way to do it, in my experience, is to set on a timer, so you can just use both your hands to act out whatever it is that you're gonna be acting out in frame. All right, so you'll drag all 3 of your images into the same Photoshop document, and you're gonna just stack all 3 of them on top of each other as layers. So you can see them all over here. All 3 images, all in the same location. So you're gonna wanna hide the top 2 or 16 or 30, however many images you're stacking on top of each other. You're only gonna want your bottom layer visible because you're gonna wanna work 1 layer at a time. So make sure everything is good on your bottom layer, everything looks good, how you like it. Go ahead and make your second layer visible, and we're actually gonna do the most important part that we're gonna do multiple times on this second layer. Your bottom layer is just kind of sort of gonna act as a base for the rest of the image. So there are 2 ways that you can do this. You can create an inverted layer mask or a regular layer mask, whichever way you like. For me, I'm just gonna do a regular layer mask. So just add a layer mask to this layer. The next thing that we're gonna wanna do is head over to the brush tool. And since this layer mask is white, you're gonna wanna make sure that your brush is black so you can reveal from the layer mask whatever is underneath. So I know that this bottom layer image is right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and start painting that in. And as you can see, I am getting myself set to slam a ping pong ball right back at myself. And this other me is still over here. So we're gonna take that same concept with the third image. We're gonna go ahead and reveal that layer. As you can see, we're gonna hide both of the layers underneath since there's no mask on that layer as it stands right now. We're gonna go ahead and add a layer mask the same way that we did to the last one. Go back to our brush tool, and we're gonna paint back in both layers that are hiding underneath. So once we do that, we have a nearly complete image. One thing that I like to do after I have everything done the way that I like it, make sure that all of my edges look good and everything is clean, I like to go ahead and select all of my layers, and I'm gonna push Command E to flatten them into one single image. Then after that, I'm gonna duplicate that layer because I never work off of my base layer. I keep it as a control just in case I need to go back. From here, I'm gonna hit Shift Command A to open up the camera raw filter. All right, and from there, you can do whatever you like, however you like to edit your image, any adjustments that you might wanna make. You can make it look as cool or as bad as you want to from this point. That is totally up to you. Whatever you're going with, these can have comedic or practical uses. Mine is a little bit more funny, just for the sake of making a funny image for fun. But a practical use for this image, let's say you have a product that you want to showcase a couple of different ways. We'll just say like a bottle of wine. there's a wine that you want to show off, and let's say you want to create an image that has, 6 or 7 bottles of wine set up on a table, but you only have one of that bottle. This is the perfect technique for that, because set your camera up on a tripod, move that bottle around on the table and paint them in just as I showed you, and then you can create the illusion that you had 7 bottles of wine, even though you didn't, especially if they're expensive. So once you have all of everything that you want to do in Canva Raw finished, go ahead and hit OK. Anything else you want to do as far as post-processing goes in any of these images is totally up to you. Whatever you like to do, go crazy, because from this point, you're working with a flat image and you can do whatever you want to it. But that is how you make a multiplicity image in Photoshop. Have fun.